What's going on YouTube? My name is Mr. Crippled, and today I wanted to talk about the most recent patch and Merlin. Now, before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and if you'd like to keep up with any future content, I will be leaving a link to my Discord and my Twitch in the description below. Now, a lot of things happen with this patch, and there's a little bit to discuss with Merlin. Merlin is basically still the same as Smite 1. However, there are some name changes to gods and new items, and even some jungle camps that changed in this most recent patch, and I think it's going to be very interesting for Conquest moving forward. I'm only going to be going over the things that I think are extremely important. Some name god changes is probably some, and obviously Merlin. But the first thing I want to go ahead and talk about is the conquest changes to jungle buffs. Now, if you didn't watch the live stream for this, they're basically reducing all the health of all named objectives. So Fire Giant, Gold Fury, Ancient Fury, Queen Naga, the Pyromancer, all of these is getting a significant health reduction. As you can see, Fire Giant is getting a around a 1000, like a roughly a 1800 health nerf. Gold Fury is getting a 500 health nerf. Ancient Fury is also getting a 600 health, 700 health nerf. Queen Naga is getting a nerf, and Pyromancer is getting a nerf. So taking these objectives is going to be significantly easier early on in the game. It kind of feels like they're trying to make the games go by faster, which I don't personally understand because some games, in casual matches you'll either surrender at 10 minutes, sometimes it can go on for 40 minutes, and that's the whole point of playing these longer game modes. You want those games to last as long as possible, especially since, even though recently the queue times have been better, the queue times are still a little bit short. But I digress. Back to what we're really talking about, these jungle health nerfs. Another big thing about this is the extra buff that the Pyromancer gives. Now, the Pyromancer will deal damage to the weakest enemy structure. So those towers, so taking Pyromancer is actually going to be a very good way to either enforce a early game lead or a good way to try to make a comeback as far as objectives go. That way you have less to push. It only does 250 base damage plus 25 damage per minute that's passed. Um, so at first it's only gonna do 250. After another 25 minutes, it'll do 275 and yada yada yada. It probably won't go any higher than that, considering that it's a 25-minute buff. But 250 base damage to an enemy tower is really nice, especially since it will still be dropping the bomb. So it'll allow the person, the tank, or somebody with the quickest way to get out to walk up, take the tower, and then get out. Um, Also, the gold update is pretty huge. If you didn't know, if you get first blood, you get an extra 200 gold at the start of the game. Sorry about that. Now it got reduced all the way down to 75. I don't know why they did this. Um, I feel like they're punishing you for being able to kill somebody first, and I don't understand why. I mean, at lower levels of play, yeah, it'll probably be easier to pick out the person who's obviously the worst player on the team. But in Conquest ranked in higher levels of play, this is a pretty significant nerf. And I guess it's to stop the enemy team from completely steamrolling you at the beginning of the game. Because I will admit there have been some cases where after that person gets first blood, it's so hard to catch back up to them. But I think reducing it all the way down to 75 is kind of a big deal. Now we're gonna move on to the god balances. There are a lot of good named balances. Ares getting a slight buff to his shackles with the strength scaling. He now has HP 5 on his buff. Not the aspect version, but the regular version. No escape, his ultimate now it does have some better scaling, doing more damage. I don't know if this pull damage applies after they get beads, because if you haven't noticed when playing Ares, if you beads his ult, not only will it not do damage, not only will it not pull them, but it won't even do damage. So I don't know if this will actually affect damage as well. So this is definitely gonna take some further testing. Awilla's got a shift. Basically, apparently she had an issue where her passive, her being able to do extra damage if she's the first one to hit you after not taking damage for a certain amount of time, where it's always activating even if she took damage first. So that was probably why her damage numbers seemed so huge in the game. So to fix this, they kind of reverted the nerf that they gave her. Baron got a significant buff. The cooldown on his one actually reduces the more you level it up. They made it to where his two heals even more now, damn near double. And Life of the Party, his ultimate, now the pull is stronger. So it makes it, if you've played Baron before and you use the ultimate, you kind of can tell that it's kind of easy to avoid even if you don't have beads, unless you don't have a run move. Now the pull is even stronger, so that can help him. I don't know how significant it's going to be, but the heal and the cooldown reduction on his two main abilities is pretty significant. And then the Fenrir nerf, this doesn't make any sense to me. Now it could be that I hadn't really seen a lot of Fenrir, but I never thought Fenrir was that good in the first place. Um, why are they nerfing how strong his 3 is, and why are they decreasing his movement speed while he's carrying somebody in his ultimate? This literally makes no sense. Um, I don't understand. I literally just don't understand these nerfs. Unless he's been overperforming or something, but in my experience, he's not even that strong, so nerfing him was kind of a dumb move. Hun Bots, he got a shift, so now the biggest thing about his 2 is that whenever you get stunned during it before, it went on cooldown. Now, if you get stunned while casting it before the actual hit comes out, it doesn't go on cooldown anymore, and it doesn't consume mana, which is a very good thing for him. Um, Jingwei got a slight buff, Khepri got a buff, Odin got a buff, Princess Bari rightfully got a nerf. I don't think this is enough. Reverend Steps is her 3. Why this was crazy? Because first of all, look at these numbers. Why the hell is it even doing over 100% scaling? First of all, like, why? The intelligence scaling from 60 to 45, okay. This numbers make sense. Why is it doing 130? Why was it doing 130%, and why is it still doing 115? This doesn't make any sense. Plus, if you didn't know, Reverend Steps also scales off her basic attack damage. So not only are you getting this strength scaling, but if your basic attacks hits hard, this is gonna hit harder. So this nerf, I think it will do something, but I don't think it's enough because the 3 just naturally hits hard anyway. And building, since you're going to be a DPS, building full damage, this little 20% nerf, it could be significant, it could not. But even her insta kill combo doesn't even need you using her 3, which is why this just seems crazy to me. But I digress. Again, this is day 1 patch. We're just going to see how it goes. Rama got a really nice buff. Ashra Strike now that has 10% strength scaling. That it does not apply to the aspect because the aspect already gives you increased strength scaling for having it active all the time. This one now, in his base form, now has 10% strength scaling, which is kind of nice. Susanoo getting a buff. Don't know why, but Susanoo hasn't really been seeing a lot of gameplay, and he was already really difficult to play at a higher level. So this could actually be something welcome. Yamoja getting a buff is nice. She does get her own aspect soon. Um, and this will make it to where her heal, the one that nobody ever uses, will now bounce on enemy gods to deal damage and shield damage, and providing Yamoja more intelligence. Um, Basically, she will become a mage. She will become a mage without a mana bar. So this is going to be kind of interesting. You're going to see some funny stuff in like Yamoja solo, Yamoja mid, but this isn't going to be coming to the 31st, so I wouldn't worry about this right yet. And then Zeus got a buff where his Chain Lightning now has decreased cooldowns as you level it up. And now, my personal favorite, the item balance. We got a lot of new items. The 2 things that I'm most excited for as somebody who likes to play solo is Runeforge Hammer and Onsile. Runeforge Hammer now makes it to where when you apply crowd control, you mark them with the rune, and then smacking them will do damage based off your protections as magical damage, and it's gonna occur every 40 seconds. However, hard CC applied to enemy gods while on cooldown reduces this cooldown by 3 seconds. So let's say you're playing Hercules, right? If you hit your 2 first, it will apply this basic attack damage debuff on them, or it'll apply this rune to them, and then you auto them while they're in the air. They're in the air. They'll take magical damage, and then if you hit your 1 right afterwards, they're gonna be affected. You're gonna reduce the cooldowns on this by 3 seconds. So characters with very high CC is going to be kind of crazy. Plus, this gives 40 strength, 400 health regen, and it's only 2,600 gold. This card is stacked. Along with Onsile, again, very cheap card, 2,400. This is definitely something that you're going to be building into magical solos because the passive makes you take reduced basic attack damage, and then taking more basic attack damage will reduce the cooldowns on this item by 2 seconds. Well, what are they reducing the cooldowns on? Well, it's the active. Your next ability that damages an enemy god will silence them for a second and a half. So literally you just build these two first cards into a magical solo, and there's nothing they can do about it, because one, you have damn near 700 extra health, two, you get an extra 40 strength, and then three, both these cards are extremely cheap. Now, namely, these don't have cooldowns. You don't need them. These cards were what they give you. It'll be busted if they also give cooldowns, so I'm glad they were smart enough not to do that. However, these cards are already extremely stacked. We're definitely going to be seeing a meta shift with these two cards, and I would even say you're probably going to see these out the jungle as well, since a lot of junglers right now are building tanky. So keep an eye out for these. These are probably going to end up getting nerfed. Another thing is, for all you people who love to build lifesteal, Vampiric Shroud is back. Basically both these items, whenever you hit an enemy with an ability, you gain an extra 3 health and 4 mana per basically per hit. And this does give you extra killing if you hit the enemy god rather than just an enemy. Vampiric Shroud, instead of just 3 health, 4 mana, now this heals for a percentage. And then if you kill somebody, you increase the amount of healing you get. So this is going to be good on characters like Anubis, Hades, characters who are very reliant on their healing. I don't think it's going to be good on characters like Ra, but you know, there could be arguments there. Some testing is going to be needed. And then we saw some nerfs and some buffs to other things. Bumba's dagger actually got a change. Now it doesn't give you. Now this doesn't give you cooldown rate, and it doesn't give you mana. However, it does give you extra attack speed. So characters who are auto attack based out the jungle are going to start building this item rather than Bumba's hammer. And with the change to Golden Blade giving you, I believe it was like more attack speed. Let me see, Golden Blade, because they did talk about it, right? Or is it here? Here we go. So now it increases the base health that you get. You do less damage, but you get more protection scaling. So this card with Bumba's hammer or Bumba's spear, along with an auto attacker, building a little bit tanky out the jungle, is going to be very annoying to deal with. I can't wait to see what they do with this. But that's basically with the patch. Let's go ahead and move on to Merlin. Okay, so Merlin is our newest mage in the game. If you've played Smite 1, you know that Merlin is a late game pub stomper because he does a lot of damage. He hasn't really seen a lot of significant changes except for one. They changed the way his 3 works. So if you don't know what it does, it's a little teleport to combat. It's a mini combat blink. It's on a very long cooldown at 20 seconds. So obviously CDR on this character is going to be very important. But they gave it extra benefits depending on the stance that you use. So if you're in the arcane stance, which is this void stance, the purple stance, teleporting now gives you a 30% heal of the damage taken within the last 4 seconds. It's like a mini Hercules heal. So if you're in this stance, right, let's just say you happen to be in this stance and then you teleport after somebody tries to gank you, you're going to get a pretty significant amount of health back. And honestly, this does help his sustain in the early game because his best clear stance is his void stance. People would say that it's his frost stance because it has the most safety, but the void stance just does way more damage, and plus it does come with CC. So you would get your 1 first and then your 3, so that way you can have some safety after getting poked and getting some health back. So definitely helps with his poking. If you're in his fire stance, the teleport will make your basic attacks apply Radiant Burn. Now, Radiant Burn is basically just a quick little dot damage, so as you can see, it doesn't really do anything. If you teleport, you can see they're taking 20 damage, 3 ticks of 20 damage over time. So, and this applies with all of your basic attacks for a set amount of time. So if you teleport and you just keep autoing, it's going to keep applying that stack of Radiant Burn. And plus, Radiant Burn does stack with his passive. If you don't know what his passive does, basically after casting an ability, your next auto will be enhanced, doing an additional 20 damage plus 20% intelligence magical scaling to it. So he basically gets a mini Polynomicon proc whenever he casts an ability. There could be arguments to build Polynomicon on him now, since auto canceling in this game is significantly easier. However, the only problem that I'm seeing is doing it when you're in your fire stance, because if you don't know, the 1 in his fire stance, even though this does the most damage, or probably the most up close damage, it puts you at a disadvantage because 1, you can't auto, and then 2, you're kind of a sitting duck while using this ability. So it's nice and not nice, but again, further testing needed. This is just day 1. And then finally, while you're in your frost stance, if you teleport while in this stance, all of your active cooldowns will be reduced by 5 seconds. So if you do, let's do this. Let's say you start in the void stance. Do this combo. I messed up. I'm bad. Let's do combo. And you teleport. As you can see, the cooldowns got reduced significantly. So this, without CDR, that move is going to be very annoying to deal with. And his ice stance, admittedly, is his best poking stance because he can cast it from so far away, and it applies it slow. So this is definitely, that change is definitely going to be very nice to see. And I can't wait to see what people do with Merlin. I will be doing a full-fledged character guide on this character to really go in depth with him, because Merlin is not an easy character to play. But I'm very excited that he's in the game. Let me know what you guys think about this recent patch. Thank you for watching, and y'all take care.